Kailasa Temple 1. The Riddle of Ellora. There is a place in India that challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient cultures in the region. The Ellora Caves, more specifically the majestic Kailasa Temple. Perched high on a remote mountainside, an entire cliff face was carved, removed, and sculpted with such extraordinary precision and skill that it has left archaeologists and historians puzzled for decades. The sheer concept of carving 100 caves into a single mountain is already a colossal project. But what makes this feat even more surreal is that there is no trace of the massive quantity of stone that was removed. None of it can be found anywhere nearby. The Kailasa Temple, also known as Cave 16, is the most famous among the 34 caves open to the public, and it's not hard to see why. This structure appears not to have been built in the traditional sense, not stone added upon stone, but instead, it was carved from a single mountain, top to bottom, in what is known as a cutout monolith. This technique is unique in the world. While other cave temples are typically carved horizontally into a cliff face, the Kailasa Temple was sculpted vertically, with ancient artisans removing rock from the top downward. The result is a 3-story structure so intricate and massive that it looks like it was printed by a modern 3D printer, except that it was supposedly done over 1,000 years ago, using primitive tools. Not only is it an engineering enigma, but it's also a cultural marvel, dedicated to the Hindu god Shiva and reflecting stories from the Ramayana. What's even more fascinating is that the temple simultaneously honors 3 major religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism, making it a spiritual and architectural wonder like no other. The magnitude of this achievement, paired with the unanswered questions surrounding its construction, continues to intrigue experts and enthusiasts around the world. 2. The inverted monolith technique. Impossible engineering. What truly sets the Kailasa Temple apart from every other rock-cut structure in the world is not just its scale, but the revolutionary method used in its construction. Unlike any other known temple or cave complex, Kailasa was sculpted using a technique called the cutout monolith approach. While most rock-cut sites around the globe are carved horizontally into cliff faces, a method known as cut-in monolith, the Kailasa Temple was literally carved from the top of the mountain downward, as if someone had peeled away the mountain like a sculptor, working from a single giant block of stone. This means the builders had to visualize the entire final structure before even beginning, calculating with astonishing accuracy how much rock to remove and where. There was no room for mistakes. Every measurement had to be perfect from the start. Staircases, bridges, columns, inner chambers, drainage systems, and detailed sculptures were all carved in a descending process that demanded extreme foresight, skill, and coordination. What's even more astonishing is that this entire process seems to have left no visible tool, marks, no signs of chiseling or hammering, as one might expect. The surfaces appear polished, the lines are precise, and the proportions are symmetrical. The implication is that the artisans not only used an unknown technique, but also had a level of architectural and engineering knowledge that remains unmatched, even by modern standards. How could such accuracy and scale have been achieved over a millennium ago? Were the builders merely working with primitive hand tools? Or does this suggest the use of a now-lost technology or methodology? These questions remain unanswered, and it's precisely this unique vertical cut technique that places Kailasa in a category of its own, one that defies traditional archaeological explanations. 3. The mountain that disappeared. Where is the Rock of Ellora? Perhaps one of the most baffling mysteries surrounding the Kailasa Temple is the sheer volume of rock that was removed to create it, over 400,000 tons, according to conservative estimates. But what truly confounds experts is not just the amount, but the fact that no trace of this enormous mass of rock has ever been found. There is no nearby quarry, no pile of discarded debris, no sign of where this vast quantity of basalt might have been transported or disposed of. It's as if the rock simply vanished. To put it in perspective, If the temple was indeed constructed in just 18 years, as some historical records suggest, that would mean over 22,000 tons of rock had to be removed each year, or about 60 tons per day, which breaks down further into 5 tons per hour, assuming non-stop labor around the clock every single day without rest. Even with modern machinery, such an endeavor would be formidable. For an ancient civilization using only basic tools, it's virtually inconceivable. This anomaly raises a critical question. Where did all the rock go? And how could a civilization, thousands of years ago, have managed such an operation without leaving behind any logistical evidence? No transport routes, no storage areas, no environmental impact. It's a gap in the historical record so massive that it forces us to reconsider everything we assume about ancient capabilities. This missing material is more than a logistical detail, it's a smoking gun, pointing to the possibility of a lost technique, a forgotten technology, or an entirely different narrative than the one officially accepted by archaeology today. 4. An 18-year-old work, the calculation that challenges historians. The Kailasa Temple is not only a marvel of engineering, it's also a testament to religious harmony and cultural sophistication, rarely seen in ancient architecture. What makes this site so unique is that it is dedicated not to one, but to 3 major religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. This coexistence, carved in stone, reflects a level of spiritual tolerance and unity that feels especially powerful in today's divided world. Within the Ellora cave complex, where Kailasa is the crown jewel, you can walk from one cave to another and witness distinct iconography, artistic styles, and spiritual symbols from each tradition, coexisting side by side. And yet, the Kailasa Temple itself is particularly dedicated to the Hindu god Shiva, represented in grand sculptures, intricate bas-reliefs, and towering structures that depict stories from ancient epics like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The sheer scale and symbolism of these carvings suggests not just artistic mastery, but a deep theological understanding. Every wall, every pillar seems to tell a stories not only of gods and legends, but of a civilization that valued spiritual depth and architectural excellence in equal measure. This tri-religious harmony etched into the mountain is more than cultural heritage, it's a stone-carved message from the past, urging us to seek unity in diversity, and reminding us that even in ancient times, human beings were capable of extraordinary expressions of faith, art, and cooperation. 5. The impossible task of destroying the temple, one of the most astonishing engineering aspects of the Kailasa Temple is the method used to create Este technique that stands alone in the history of architecture. Unlike most ancient temples, which were built by adding stones piece by piece or carving into a rock face horizontally, Kailasa was excavated from the top down. This unique method is known as the cutout monolith technique. Imagine sculpting an entire building, multi-leveled, intricately designed, filled with inner chambers, courtyards, pillars, bridges, and statues, not by constructing it, but by removing stone from a single giant mountain, layer by layer, starting from the top. There is no margin for error. A single miscalculation could ruin the entire project. And yet, the ancient builders achieved perfect symmetry and alignment, as if they had access to architectural plans with modern-level precision. This top-down excavation, unprecedented anywhere else in the world, required not only vision and planning, but extraordinary skill and tools. How did they measure? How did they coordinate so many levels, chambers, and ornamental features without the ability to see them until they were carved? This construction method, never replicated on such a scale, leaves modern engineers baffled. It suggests not just brute labor, but some form of advanced knowledge in geometry, mathematics, and architectural foresight, qualities rarely attributed to ancient civilizations, and yet clearly demonstrated in this breathtaking achievement. 6. Out of this world details, inexplicable architecture and precision. The Kailasa Temple's sheer scale defies not only conventional logic, but also the recorded historical timeline proposed by mainstream historians. According to academic consensus, this monumental structure, carved from a single rock, featuring 3 levels, countless statues, and finely detailed reliefs, was completed in less than 18 years. But when we do the math, that claim starts to unravel. Over 400,000 tons of rock were removed to create this temple. If we assume 18 years of non-stop labor, that means roughly 22,222 tons per year, or about 60 tons per day. Breaking it down even further, it implies that the builders would have had to remove 5 tons of solid basalt rock per hour, every hour, for nearly 2 decades with primitive tools, no heavy machinery, and no interruptions for weather, festivals, illness, or war. Such a feat would be nearly impossible, even with modern technology, let alone with the rudimentary chisels and hammers supposedly used at the time. The logistical challenge alone is staggering. Where did all that rock go? There is no record or trace of a stone dump site nearby, and there's no documentation, no ancient blueprints, number records of a labor force, no carvings commemorating such a grand effort. This raises serious questions. Did ancient builders possess knowledge or tools that we no longer understand? Could the official timeline be wrong? The discrepancy between the physical evidence and the historical narrative makes the Kailasa Temple one of the greatest archaeological puzzles of all time. 7. The mystery of the underground city. Another astonishing detail that adds to the mystery of the Kailasa Temple is the failed attempt to destroy it. In 1682, Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, determined to erase all traces of non-Islamic architecture, ordered the temple's complete demolition. He dispatched 1,000 workers with the mission of reducing the entire complex to rubble. They labored for 3 full years and accomplished almost nothing. Despite all their efforts, they were only able to chip away at some statues and cause superficial damage. The main structure remained intact and unmoved, defying even purposeful destruction by human hands. Eventually, Aurangzeb had no choice but to abandon the task, declaring it impossible to destroy. This failed attempt speaks volumes about the engineering strength and durability of the temple. It's as if the very stone refuses to be broken. How could such resilience be achieved with ancient tools? Modern engineers today acknowledge that even with current technology, demolishing such a monolithic structure would be a monumental challenge. The failed demolition also forces us to ask a deeper question. Was the temple intentionally designed to be indestructible? If so, what knowledge did its creators possess that allowed them to build something not only artistically divine, but also practically eternal? 8. While most of the temples in Ellora are hidden within the rock face, the Kailasa Temple stands apart literally. It is the only one visible from the air, an architectural anomaly that raises serious questions about its purpose and planning. When viewed from above, especially through tools like Google Earth, a striking image emerges. A perfectly symmetrical X-shape, framed by circular patterns and 4 distinct lion carvings. Was this an accident of design, or was it meant to be seen from the skies? This aerial visibility has led some researchers to speculate. Was the temple created for beings who could fly? Or perhaps it was intended as a marker, a beacon, like the mysterious Nazca lines of Peru, designed for celestial navigation or divine observation. Adding to this theory is the precise orientation of the temple. Its entrance faces directly west, and its layout is geometrically flawless in all 4 cardinal directions. This level of spatial precision implies that the builders had advanced knowledge of astronomy and geography long before such sciences were formally developed. It also fuels the idea that the temple's true significance might extend beyond mere spiritual devotion, perhaps serving as a cosmic coordinate, an ancient GPS, or even a symbolic message to beings not of this world. 9. Ancient texts and lost technology. What do the manuscripts say? One of the most baffling elements of the Kailasa Temple is the absence of tool marks. Despite its immense size, intricate detailing, and three-dimensional symmetry, the surfaces of the temple appear smooth and uniformly polished, with no evidence of chisels, hammers, or primitive instruments. This raises a fundamental question. How was this precision achieved, especially with the limited technology believed to be available at the time? In traditional stone carving, even with modern tools, some traces of manual work remain: teeny cuts, grooves, or inconsistencies. But here, the surfaces are almost impossibly refined, giving the impression that they were shaped using a high-precision, possibly mechanical method. This has led some engineers and researchers to suggest that advanced mathematical understanding and unknown techniques must have been involved in the temple's creation. Moreover, the layout and features, such as multi-level staircases, rainwater harvesting systems, bridges connecting towers, underground passages, and balconies carved in hard basalts, suggest not just artistic brilliance, but complex architectural planning that would challenge even today's engineers. The fact that all these features were carved directly from the mountain, with no external stones added, only amplifies the mystery. How could ancient builders, with supposedly rudimentary tools, execute a project of this scale without a single misalignment? 10. The work of the gods. Elora and the limits of the official narrative. Another mysterious aspect lies beneath the visible structures, the underground world of Elora. Legends speak of a vast subterranean city hidden beneath the Kailasa Temple, a maze of secret tunnels and passageways that seem to lead nowhere, perhaps, to places we are not yet allowed to explore. Some of these paths abruptly end, while others are sealed off entirely. What purpose did they serve? Were they escape routes, spiritual passages, or entrances to hidden chambers? Adding to this enigma, ancient Sanskrit texts found in and around Elora and Ajanta mention powerful tools and flying machines, known as vimanas, supposedly used by the gods to construct such marvels with ease and precision. These texts, many of which remain untranslated, may hold answers to the inexplicable aspects of the temple's creation. In fact, there are over 28 million Sanskrit manuscripts in India, many still untouched by modern scholars. Hidden among them might be the key to understanding how this magnificent temple came to be. Could it be that the Kailasa Temple was built not just with skill, but with knowledge lost to time, forgotten legacy of a civilization far more advanced than we assume? With no written records identifying its true builders, and no definitive explanation for the volume of rock removed or the techniques used, Kailasa stands as one of the greatest architectural riddles in human history. We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.